The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Duralong Transformation Centre. We've got one of our great guests from the Duralong Transformation Centre with us this morning. It's good morning to Tyran.
Good morning.
How are you going at Duralong?
Very well, very well. Yes.
Yeah. What's the weather like out there? Cold mornings?
Yeah, it is very cold at the moment, very cold.
How do you cope with the cold? You okay with that?
I'm okay. I'm from a town called Bathurst and it gets pretty cold out there.
So this is nothing, is it?
No.
Take this in your stride. And how long have you been there now, Tyran?
I've been at Duralong for 4.5 months.
Yeah, so not too long. Have you noticed any differences in yourself?
Oh, massive differences. I'm a lot more comfortable within myself. I can look at people differently now, and I'm just confident, really confident.
So you're pleased with the progress you've made?
100%, yeah.
Well, that's great, because although you're positive at the moment, life hasn't always been a sort of positive experience for you, has it? You have been addicted to drugs for a long time in your life.
Yeah, since I was 11 years old.
Yeah, 11. So you were still at school, barely out of primary school.
Yeah, at the end of year 6.
Yeah. And who introduced you to drugs? Was it school kids or the mates?
Yeah, it was one of my mates. We started smoking marijuana together.
Yeah.
And it progressed from there. We started drinking and smoking nearly every day since the age of 11.
And this must have had a big impact on your education?
Oh, massive. I stopped going to school, and when I did go to school, I was just causing drama, and it wasn't good.
So the teachers and the principal, they would have known Tyran quite well.
Oh, they did.
They knew you quite well. Yeah, it was not good news. Your mum and dad must have been really worried about you.
Yeah, they were, but I guess that they couldn't control what I was doing. I was just off doing my own thing. I'd go and crash at mates' houses, and just so I could use my drugs and drink.
You used the word they couldn't control you. Do you think you were perhaps out of control at that time?
Oh, 100%. I was definitely out of control.
Yeah. And the drugs and the drink and the Viking school, that just became your norm?
It was normal to me, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your days looking like at that stage? Getting up in the morning and looking for the first, bong of the day or whatever it might have been?
And I'd wake up, and if I couldn't get any money off my parents or anyone around me, I'd turn to my mates and we'd all get money somehow, and we'd go buy our weed and we'd go smoke somewhere, anywhere.
Yeah. So what was it giving you that you needed so much that this is becoming an addiction? What was the benefit of drugs?
Well, it'd block out my past experiences and stuff that I didn't want to feel. All the emotions about the past, or it'd block them out for a while. But when you'd come off the drugs, them feelings would come back.
Yeah, we've heard that a number of times. And look, we're not asking you to go into detail, Tyran, but there was bad stuff that had happened to you as a child.
Yeah, there was a lot of traumatic stuff that happened as a child, and I guess and that enabled me to keep using in my head.
Yeah, so the drugs gave you some temporary relief for that, and sort of blotted it out for a time anyway.
For a short period of time. It'd fester inside and just keep building up, and eventually it'd explode.
Yeah, we were talking off air just before I introduced you all to Tyran, and he was saying it was like a pressure cooker, wasn't it? You were saying like the drugs kept the lid on.
Yeah, they did. They kept the lid on it. But as I say, after the drugs would wear off, that lid had burst,
Yeah.
And all these emotions had come out, and anger and all sorts of things.
So they don't go away. They've got to be dealt with, but you're dealing with them in a pretty unhealthy way.
Yeah, very unhealthy.
But at the age of 11, perhaps you didn't know any different?
I didn't know any different. Growing up, it was the normal. It was all around me, and I didn't know any different.
Yeah. All you knew was this blots out the pain for a certain period of time.
Yeah. Everyone else around me was doing it just so they could hide their pain, so I thought that's what you have to do in life, to hide the pain and misery.
Yeah. So, okay, that was at the age of 11. What was life looking for you in your mid-teens, at that older age, sort of, 16, 17, 18?
Mate, I was really into my drugs then. I was starting to take cocaine and MDMA and all different sorts of pills and prescription drugs, and sometimes I'd remember waking up in a park one day and just waking up in random people's houses, and all different sorts of stuff was happening. And
So you're still very young, 17, 18, but this is your life, or this was your life.
Yeah.
Just waking up and having no recollection of what had happened for the previous 12 hours.
No. And I even gave my footy career up over the drugs when I was 14.
Oh. Tell us about that. You had a career?
Yeah. I was a really good football player growing up as a youngster, and I'd make the Group 10 rugby league sides and the Western footy sides, and that's a big accomplishment at that
absolutely.
age. And I just really chucked that away because I couldn't use drugs and drink while I was doing the footy, so I chose the drugs and the alcohol over my footy, and that's something I deeply regret.
Yeah. So you made that choice that if you'd have continued your footy career, there would have been drug testing and all the rest of it, and so you chose the drugs.
Yeah, I chose drugs.
You say you chose the drugs, perhaps drugs chose
me.
The drug. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because it's so easy for people who have not had any sort of experience just to think that it's a matter of choice and self-will and being strong, but it's more than that, isn't it?
It definitely is more than that. It really does take a hold of you. The addiction, I couldn't control it. It controlled me, and everything I did it revolved around it, the drugs, you know.
Yeah. And you eventually found yourself on ice?
Yeah, I did find myself on ice for nearly a year. That's when my life did go downhill.
Yeah.
It really did go downhill from there. It's a really bad drug, that one.
Oh, you say downhill?
Mate, I got into trouble with the law. I lost my partner. I went to jail. Well, yeah,
It's got a strong grip on you, this drug, hasn't it?
It really did, yeah.
Yeah. Your life is spiralling out of control.
Yeah.
Were you worried for your own future?
Well,
in those moments when you were sort of able to rationalise things, did you think, Tyran, you're going to kill yourself?
Yeah, at times I did think like that. But then again, the addiction took over, and it's like, no, you need this to carry on. And
yeah,
I remember waking up in hospital a few times because of ice and with heart monitors all over me and stuff like that. And
scary stuff.
That is scary, very scary.
But the drug's hold is so powerful that you go back.
Yeah, you keep going back.
And you've mentioned a relationship there, and if listeners were listening to Tyran talking to Mick and Kath on the Brecky show, they will know how significant this relationship has been in your life. But there is one person, isn't there, in your life who's sort of really stood by you.
Yeah, and that's my beautiful wife, Anita. She's been my main support, you know, and she's made me who I am today, and I'm so grateful to have her.
So she didn't walk away from you during those bad times?
No, she's still stuck by me, and I after I got off the ice and I moved up to the Central Coast here, I married her, and yeah.
When did you marry?
September the 7th last year.
Yeah. Oh, not long ago.
No.
Yeah. So you must have had, the two of you, dreams and plans and hopes for the future and what you wanted to do with your lives, how you were going to write that next chapter in your book, but it didn't work out like that, I guess.
No, it didn't. As I said, the drugs still put a hold on all of that.
Yeah.
It had control of me, and
you're married to the drugs as well as Anita.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a bit of a difficult start for you for your married life then, with the drugs being in that relationship.
It was very rocky, and I'm lucky I didn't lose her again. I nearly did.
Yeah.
Over the drugs.
And was that the wake-up call you needed?
100%. That was the wake-up call I needed.
To realise that if I carry on, I'm going to lose the love of my life here.
Yeah.
And was it at that time that you sort of started seeking out help?
Yeah, there's a place called Yarran Aboriginal Healthcare Services in Wyong. It's like a doctor's surgery there, and they referred me to a place called Juralong. It's a rehabilitation.
Which you've never heard of before?
I've never heard of it, no.
Yeah.
And at the start I thought, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do it.
Was this your first rehab?
Yeah, first rehab.
Yeah, but you were pretty not anti it. You gave it a go, but you didn't think it was going to do you any good.
No, I didn't at the start. The first few weeks I thought, what am I doing here, you know? And there was no help for me, really. Yeah. That's what I thought.
We're talking to Tyran this morning from the Duralong Transformation Centre. Tyran was telling us about his troubled childhood and his descent into addiction starting at the age of 11, how he took drugs to blot stuff out, but it was still there. But as time progressed, he needed stronger drugs to blot things out, and yeah, he was on ice, and he found himself in trouble with the law. But things started to turn around a bit. He got married last year, about 5 months ago, and realising that he might lose the love of his life, Anita, he decided to try and get clean. And you were telling us you went to the Aboriginal Health Centre in Wyong.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that called again?
Yarran Aboriginal Healthcare Services.
Right, and it was they that referred you to Duralong?
Yeah, they did, yep.
Okay. So what did you think when you got to Duralong?
Man, I was scared. I was intimidated. I didn't know what to expect. I did feel alone at first.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anyone or...
And this was your first experience of a rehab?
Yeah,
you had no idea?
No.
And it was run by the Salvos, and that may not have sat comfortably with you?
Yeah, no, it didn't. I didn't have a relationship with God or understand anything.
So it would have seemed very strange.
Yeah, it was. And the first night I went there, we did a chapel service, and I didn't really understand what was going on, to be honest.
Yeah, must have wondered what you had let yourself in for.
Yeah, I was like, well, what am I doing here? You know?
Yeah. But you stuck it for that first sort of few days, few weeks, and slowly you've embraced the program.
I sure have.
Yeah.
Duralong, I love that place now, and it really has saved my life, and my marriage, and everything. It's
so. What were you expecting from a rehab centre, and what's the reality of Duralong been like? What was that sort of image you had in your mind? Like, I've got an image of what I think a rehab centre would be. What was your image before you went to Duralong?
I didn't think it was going to be the way it is. I thought I'd just go there and I'd get off drugs and I wouldn't learn much.
Yeah.
But it's the complete opposite, actually.
Yeah.
It just teaches you how to deal with life on an everyday basis, about resentments, about your past, and just about letting that go, really.
Because that stuff that you were telling us about, which is in that sort of pressure cooker within you, it's still there, isn't it? It's got to be dealt with in a healthy way.
It's still there, and it always will be there.
Yeah.
It's just how I react to it now. And
yeah.
And
I heard you talking to Mick and Kath on the Breaky Show, and one thing which struck me as I was driving in this morning and I was listening to you, and that was the word forgiveness. Forgiveness seems to be a really important sort of life lesson for you at Duralong. Can you tell the listeners what you mean about why forgiveness is so important to you?
Well, forgiveness, I've got to forgive what's happened in my past. I can't. Doesn't mean I have to forget about it. I just have to forgive what's happened and stop dwelling on it, because that enabled me to use for the last 11 years, and I don't want that anymore. I forgive everything that's happened in my past, and I think that's the major thing, you know.
Forgiving yourself.
Forgive myself, and then I can learn to forgive others.
Yeah. So that these things no longer have that grip and no longer have that power over you.
Yeah, that's right. And
so that was a big learning process for you. Yeah. And you have programs like that, sort of life skill programs at Duralong, don't you?
Yeah, we do groups every morning, just around everyday life, you know, and growth processes and everything there.
And some of the people that we've had here, some of the guests say that, you know, the anger management one spoke to them, and other people say it's the relationships one that spoke to them. We're all different, but there are programs there to cover the whole range of life experiences.
Yeah, there's a whole range of programs there that you could do, and it's amazing.
Now, before you went to Duralong, did you have any church background or any knowledge of God or anything like that, even from within your Aboriginal culture, maybe?
No, none at all.
No.
If anything, I had resentments against God about what's happened in the past, and
angry at him for your situation.
Yeah, 100%.
Can understand that. Yeah, I think most people would be. So would you say that you had a spiritual dimension to you, or were you just in denial that we are all spiritual beings?
I guess I was in denial. Yeah.
So there you go. It's the first Wednesday that you're at Duralong. You've never been to a church in your life. You've had no real connection with God or spirituality through your culture, and they throw you into the middle of a Salvation Army gospel sort of chapel night. That must have been a bit sort of hairy for you.
Oh, it was. What am I doing here?
Yeah. You're sat at the back thinking, where's the door?
I did sit at the back, and I was like, what's going on? I didn't understand anything, you know, and what are they talking about? And
Yeah. So how did it change from what the heck are they talking about to I want to learn more about this?
Well, I stuck there, you know, and I started to slowly move to the front of the chapel and just listening more and paying more attention. And
Yeah.
we started an Alpha course.
Oh yes.
That was a real changer for me.
Yes. I think most Christians at some time in their life have done an Alpha course. It's very good, isn't it?
Oh, it's
It's excellent.
life-changing.
The Spirit Weekend that you go on and all things like that.
Yeah, we went down to Collaroy down in Sydney, and
Yeah.
wow, something happened that night to
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah. I think that's why they call it the Holy Spirit Weekend, don't they? Because, you know, it's on that almost like a retreat that you go on to, that it's sort of, it can be quite impactful, can't it?
yeah, I definitely invited the Holy Spirit in that night, and
Yeah.
one minute I was crying, the next minute my hands were on fire, then they were cold, and then I was just full of joy and happiness, and I have been since that night.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
It's amazing, isn't
It
it?
is amazing.
And your wife, she will have noticed the difference in you. What does she make of the change that's happened in Tyran's life?
She's amazed about what's happening, and she's starting to ask more questions herself
Yeah.
about all of this, and she's got her own Bible, and she wants to do the Alpha course and stuff now, so it is exciting for her
Yeah.
that she's seen the change in me, and I guess she wants a piece of that too, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's sometimes what attracts people to find out more about Christianity. It certainly was for me. I just looked at my aunt and uncle who were Christians and thought, don't know what they're on, but I wouldn't mind a bit of it. They seem so peaceful, serene people. And yeah, there may have been a bit of that for you when you were sat at the back of the chapel, looking at those at the front. They just have something. Yeah.
Yeah, they just seem real happy and friendly, and that's everything that I want to be.
Yeah.
You know?
And not in a sort of brainwash sense. They were real people with real mortgages and rents to pay, but they had a peace and a calm about them.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been there now 4.5 months, so another 2.5 months, 3 months to go?
Yeah, 2.5 months to go.
Yeah. And you go to church on Sundays?
Yeah, I go every Sunday without fail.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And will that be a feature of your life once you sort of leave Duralong?
100%. I'll be doing it every Sunday when I leave. I love it.
Yeah. Which church do you go to?
Long Jetty.
That's a
Salvation
Church?
Army Church at Long Jetty, yeah.
Yeah. Good people?
Oh, lovely.
Lovely people.
Yeah.
We're talking to Tyran this morning from Duralong. He was telling us, particularly of his experience on the Holy Spirit weekend that the Alpha course have. He went down to Collaroy and invited the Holy Spirit into his life, and it was a very sort of physical reaction straight away, tears, shaking. Something happened that you probably can't really explain in rational terms, can you?
No.
But you know there's a before and after in your life now.
Yeah.
So things are going well. You've got perhaps another 3 months to go, because you don't want to sort of, undo all the good work that's been done by rushing it too much, do you? You've got to be guided by what the professionals say. But have you given any thought to where your future direction might be?
Yeah, I have. I've given it a lot of thought, and I want to go into community services to help the younger generation of today.
Yeah. That would be good, because you found, your addiction started at 11 and continued with you all through your teenage, early 20s. So you know what it's like for kids to be in addiction, and the troubles they have at home, and you perhaps got valuable life lessons.
Yeah, I can relate. I'll be able to relate to them a lot, and hopefully they could I could help them, And
and you were telling me off just as we were listening to that music that perhaps at a correctional centre you could get into one of those and work with the troubled youth there.
Yeah, 100%. That's my goal.
That's your goal.
Yep.
That would be super. You'd be such a great worker for them, a good witness for Christ, and it would give them some hope, wouldn't it? That, okay, here's somebody who was badly addicted, in trouble with the law, an ice addict, yet, he's got a great life. So it gives them hope, I think.
It sure would.
That they could see you there, yeah. And you've been married about 6 months now, so you're still a young guy and recently married, so you've got your whole married life to look forward to as well.
Yeah, and a good one at that.
Yeah, there's a big smile on his face when he says that. Yeah, so things are looking good.
They've never been better.
Never been better. Yeah. And how are things with your mum, dad, and Anita, your wife?
It's the best that it's ever been. Or why? Because I'm not using drugs or drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. How long is it since you've been able to say that?
Never. I've never been able to say that.
So from the age of 11.
Yeah.
How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
22.
So from the age of 11 to 22, which is like half of your life,
Yeah.
has been spent in addiction.
Exactly half. Yeah.
And now you've made the break.
Yeah.
Got your life back again.
Yeah. 7 months I haven't used drugs or drank alcohol, and
Yeah.
I feel amazing.
Oh, that's terrific, isn't it? Look, you talked right at the start about how you turned away for the reasons we sort of explored. You turned your back on your rugby career, but sport and rugby particularly is an important part of your life. And today, of course, it's the first day of Origin, but I'm worried because it's also chapel night, and I don't know what you're going to do. Are you going to chapel or are you going to watch the footy? How's it working tonight?
Major Gavin out there at the Drillong Transformation Centre, he's agreed to cut the chapel visit short tonight, and he's allowed us to watch the State of Origin on the big screen there.
Otherwise, you'd all be consulting your phones every 2 minutes instead of listening to what's being said from up front.
Of course.
Yeah. He's realistic enough to know that, this one day, So, you'll have a shortened chapel service, you'll have your roast meal.
Yeah.
And then it'll be hit the big screen and watch the TV. Yeah, and who's going to win, Tyran?
The Blues, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Look, he's probably said that every year for the past 5 or 6 years, have you?
I have since I've been born, I think.
But today, definitely.
Today, the Blues by 22 points.
Okay, so when New South Wales win tonight, we've got Tyran to thank for that prediction.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for coming in, Tyran. It's been a delight to talk to you, particularly because your life has changed so dramatically in such a short period of time that some would say it's a miracle. And we say sometimes, there are no miracles that God does now, but you perhaps are a miracle. Your life has changed in such a short time completely that there's no other explanation other than the one that you gave us. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is a miracle.
It is a miracle.
It really is.
Go with our blessing. Take our good wishes back to everybody back down there at Duralong. Give them our best. Hope God continues to smile on you, continues to guide and direct your life, and to guide and direct Anita as well. And we just pray that together you have a blessed life.
Thank you.
You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Duralong Stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 rema.cc.